Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my October wrap up. I did better than I expected. I feel like my expectations for the end of the year were pretty low, but we're still on trend. I did actually hit my Goodreads reading goal, which was 75 books. Technically it was 50, but I increased it. I don't think I'm going to be able to hit 75 because of everything going on. Like December, I don't read a ton because I do like a video every 2 days. So it's a lot, so I probably won't have time to read that much. So we still hit the 75. I'm very happy about it. I did finish 7 books this month. I DNF'd 0, which my goal is to DNF more, but like I read decent enough books, or I was curious enough to finish them, so I'm not like mad that I finished something that I shouldn't have. And I'm currently in the middle of 1. So things are pretty good. 7 is good. So let's go through them. Let's review all the books that I've read this month. I'm going to go in order that I have read them. So the first one was Firekeepers Daughter, which I picked up like randomly. I saw the audiobook in my library, the cover, I should say. And I was really curious. I started it last month and I finished it earlier this month, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. And like I say that, but like I went into it knowing absolutely nothing. It's a YA contemporary, and it was kind of a cover read, and it managed to surprise me, even though again I read it without knowing anything. But it was like, I was like, oh, it's a YA contemporary, probably with a little bit of romance, which yes, but like it went in a direction I really didn't expect. Basically, this teenager is half white, half native, and she is struggling with her identity. And then there's also like a drug going on in her community, and there's an investigation like that is like undercover, and things happen. I'm going to keep it somewhat vague, but yeah, it went way more serious than I expected. There's one scene that I thought was, but I overall enjoyed it. I did listen to it as an audiobook, which for me was a good choice because there's a bunch of words that I wouldn't have known how to pronounce, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that because now I'm going to struggle, but Ojibwe or Anishinaabe, hopefully I remember them correctly, but yes, it was really useful to just hear them. There was also a little bit of French, which, but I think it's a good experience as an audiobook if you want to just learn how to pronounce a bunch of these words. So yes, I overall enjoyed it. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. I don't read a ton of YA books, although I did read 2 this month and it went well for both. So I think because I'm not reading as much, I'm like more pleasantly surprised with them. If you are a big YA reader though, you're probably going to enjoy that one. There's a little bit of hype behind it and I approve. So yeah, it was good. The second book that I finished this month was this one, The Girl Who Played with Fire, which finally, I read the first book earlier this year, and it's, let's not even go into details. We know I suck at finishing series, but we're working on that next year, so kind of a little early, read book 2 out of 3. I was scared to start this because, well, it's over 500 pages, which I'm still nervous with these ones. It's a mystery, which I have been so unlucky with mysteries and thrillers for the last like 3 years, really. And I was scared it wasn't going to compare really well to book 1 because book 1 was an easy 5 stars for me. Really loved it. I think part of it was the fact that it was like a murder mystery in a small town. And this one isn't like that. This one is more about like sex trafficking. And it definitely still kept my interest. The author, like hands down, is so good at writing really misogynistic men. That I just hated. Like The Policeman. Oh my god, I hated all of them. But he's good at doing it without coming off himself as misogynistic, which, you know how, there's always someone that's going to argue with me, mostly on Goodreads really than here, telling me that like, oh, you know, just because there's a misogynistic character doesn't mean that the author is sexist himself, and like, I know that, but I disagree that the author isn't, you know? In this case, it's very clear there's a distinction. Some men characters are perfectly fine, and then, like, even the main male character, like, he's obviously always sleeping with every female character, which, like, wish fulfillment, but it doesn't come off as misogynistic at all, you know? My only big issue with it is that there's a scene in the beginning, which isn't a spoiler. The main female character, she's 25, and she has sex with a 16-year-old boy. Which, like, I really don't understand what the goal of that was with the rest of the story. It doesn't relate with anything else. And, like, any of the explanation that I can think of, I don't agree with. So, that's my only complaint, really. But yes, overall enjoyed it. 4 stars. Do recommend it. I mean, at this point, there's so much hype for last, I don't even know how many years. So, everyone knows about it. But yes, I have book 3 on my TBR. Probably will do that next year. And I'm excited to get to it when I get to it. Okay, so the next YA book that I was mentioning, I also listened to that one as an audiobook, and it was Cemetery Boys, which I was not prepared for. I had been told that it was like kind of funny, which I agree. I think the story is really great because of the characters. You're following a transgender boy who also is part of a family like with magic, and it's like urban fantasy, which I don't read a ton of, like literally never really. I usually read more like high fantasy, and this one is super accessible. Once again, I'm sure everyone has seen it. I feel like there's been a bit of hype behind it. Definitely worth it if you are looking for something like that, like coming of age. You're following these two main characters who are like trying to call a ghost basically, and they end up calling the wrong one kind of thing, and it was great. Like I said, characters are likable. The story was fun. There's just like a part towards the ending, once again, I was like, about, but I thought it was still like heartwarming and it was fun, and I can definitely understand the hype. So for me, that was like a 4-star-ish. So, okay, now we need to talk about these two books. I did vlog it. I feel like in my vlog, I was very optimistic. I was like on my period. I was like stuck on this couch, and I thought, why not read 2 like new releases, 2 mysteries? And I was mentioning how, except for like this series, I have not been lucky with mysteries, and it's been really frustrating. I've been starting to like second guess myself. Do I just not like mystery thrillers? But like, I'm pretty sure that's not true. I think it's because I've been trying to like read the new releases, and it tends to be more hit and miss. And if you read like older ones that have been like popular for 15 years, then they tend to be better, you know? Because they've survived 15 years of hype. So let's talk about them. The first one, I think the premise was the best one of the 2. Local Woman Missing. It was my first book by the author. I feel like I've seen her books here and there, but even though the ratings are really high on Goodreads, I think it was like 4.11 or something, I don't get it. I don't get it. It starts strong. There's a little girl that was kidnapped. Like, it literally starts with like a horrible scene of that. And then she is found like 11 years later and brought back to her family, and she's like struggling to adapt. And at the same time, you get like the flashback of what happened, how she disappeared. And then throughout the book, you're like kind of figuring out who did it. My issues. The writing was really so-so. I think that the author tried to like, you know, trick us into believing other things that just didn't really make sense. Like, it wasn't really wrapped up towards the end. It was just like, oh, it wasn't that, but like never mentioned again. And I didn't really care for like who did it kind of thing. Obviously spoiler free. I just didn't feel it was realistic. Like, I feel like for it to happen the way it did, you need to like completely suspend your disbelief for a bunch of stuff. And I just didn't think that it made sense that whoever did it. You know? And in my vlog, I mentioned that I thought it was like not a 3 stars or like less than a 3 stars. And I feel like with time, I just dislike it more and more. So this is going to probably be like a 2.5 stars for me. I just found it disappointing. The writing didn't care for it. And like, I didn't care for the characters that much either. So it was just like, there was potential, but like, yeah, first time reading something by her. I might try something else, but I'm not really excited. I would love to hear your thoughts, but a lot of people in the comment section of that vlog mentioned that you didn't really care for it either. But Goodreads, the ratings are so high that I questioned my sanity, basically. So the next one was The Moonlight Child, which this one, the premise was less intriguing than this one, but the characters were so much better. You're following this woman who sees a little girl in the neighbor's house like at 11 at night, and she looks like she's like 5, and they only have like a teenage son. So she starts questioning, you know, what's up with that. I did think that her and Nikki were like really likable characters, and I enjoyed that little intrigue. I did feel towards the end that it got a little too big. It reminded me of the book The Chain, which that one was really bad. Like, it felt like it tried to become a movie and could not be wrapped up. So I feel like the ending was a little, for me, a little weaker, a little like too sweet, I guess, for me too. And I don't know. I really like the characters. The writing was fine, but like, it's probably a 2-point-something star for me too. Overall, less disappointing than this one because I felt like this was more like following the characters and like caring about them than truly like a plot. But like, I just want to give 5 stars to one mystery this year, or this decade at this point. Definitely don't hesitate to leave me all your favorite ones in the comment section, because I am starting to give up a little bit inside. Finally, the Patreon book club pick of the month was this one, which was the Foundation trilogy. We were reading the first one, which I did read. It was only like 200 something pages. I had low expectations because classic sci-fi and me, I loved the ideas always. The writing is usually on the dry side, which was definitely the case here. They usually have, I keep calling spice, like homophobia, racism, sexism. This one wasn't bad. There's like not really female characters in here, but it's overall not terrible with that. However, I feel like it's very surface level because it's spread over like over 100 years, at least for part 1. And I feel like I didn't have time to get attached to characters because we would switch to a different point of view because, you know, it's 50 years later. And overall, it's mostly about, it's like, according to the science of psychohistory. So this man kind of sees the future, calculates the future based on math, and then trying to help humanity survive issues. One of the ways that they do that is through using religion to control the masses, which I feel like probably was controversial in the 50s when it came out. I feel like that probably would not have been received really well, so maybe that's why it's so popular, but otherwise I'm feeling so about it. Like, it was fine. It's probably like a 3 stars for me, and there's potential for the rest of the trilogy. Am I in a rush to pick it up? Not really, but I think I'm gonna try the TV show, and if I like the TV show, I'll continue the series, and if I don't care for the TV show, I might just give up on the series, which would make it easier for me because I'm supposed to learn to finish series or just give up on them. Yes, would love to hear your thoughts on the book 1, or if you have any like encouragement for finishing the trilogy. Leave them in the comment section for me. Last but not least, basically this morning, I finished the last book that I finished this month, which was We Begin at the End, which I had seen it as like new release, which when did this come out? March 2nd of this year. And I had seen it, I think, in like a mystery category on Goodreads, and I feel like it's more family drama than a true mystery. And frankly, I don't want to tell you anything about it. Are you mad about? Hopefully that's kind of okay. Like, it's more about like someone got murdered, and then her children are trying to cope with that, and you don't know who did it, and there's like a bunch of background timelines, and it's about love, compassion, redemption, blah blah blah. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. I went into it not knowing anything, and it's probably better that way because, again, it's more like family drama than true mystery, which I tend to be scared of. I feel like, you know, you have to really like the characters. And I do think it took like about 50% to really get engrossed into the story. But once I didn't want to put it down. So do recommend it. There's a little bit of hype behind that one too. I believe there's like 40,000 ratings and it's like 4.2 on Goodreads. So this one I approve. And I'm currently reading Sunreach by Brandon Sanderson, which is the novella between book 2 and book 3 in the Skyward universe. There's a second one that just came out that I need to pick up once I'm done with this one. I'm about 60% into it, and I don't know if anyone will agree, and I'm hopeful that like the ending will do it for me because Brandon Sanderson, his endings are always like mind-blowing. But the novella feels very, very YA. And I'm fully aware that Skyward is YA sci-fi, but for some reason, this feels very, very YA. You're following FM, which is one of the side characters, and like they're on a quest to figure out some stuff that we learned in book 2, so I'm not going to mention anything. But so far, I'm kind of just feeling meh, maybe 3 stars, but I'm hoping to be surprised. So yeah, overall, not a bad month. I mean, some 4 stars, some 2 stars, that overall ends up not too horribly. I'm excited for November. I'm still hoping that I will find some 5 stars. If you haven't seen it, I did post my TBR, the books that I'm hoping to read before the end of the month. And I would love to hear your thoughts on these ones if you have read them, or any of the books that you finished this month. Let me know your favorite one because we apparently always need to have a ridiculous TBR. So if you have any favorites, we should add them too. That's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.